Alright, guys, trying to get this all figured out here. I don't know if it's internet issues or or something, but we're trying to get it figured out. Alright, guys, we're getting there. Hey, Marty, how are you?
Good, good. Finally.
Yeah, gotta love the good old internet and issues.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
guys, season 2, episode 2, we got Marty here, and I know most of you guys in the CBG community, if you know good old CB and you know these guys right here, then you know the man, the myth, the legend, Marty Tauber. Good to have you, Marty.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Um, well, I know this one's a little different versus, asking building and all that because you don't build guitars anymore.
Mhm.
Um, so the biggest thing is, you and I talked, so you shared a little bit of that story where, people think that, it was just you that came up with these fine examples and it popped out of your head. But there's a bigger story behind that if you don't mind telling everybody about it.
Good, no problem. I wish I could take credit for developing them, but there's no way. A gentleman in Belgium named Elmar Zilhofer developed them in 2011, and he still is selling them there in Europe today. They're called the original flat pump. Dan Sleep brought them to America and started selling them here. And I got the good fortune of meeting him, Dan, at the 2016 CBG Festival in St. Louis. I was out there on business for my company, well, the company I worked for. And I attended the festival. I got to meet Dan and became good friends. A few months after that, I found out that he had terminal cancer. So I started calling him, just to cheer him up, stuff like that. And he asked if I was building any of his pickups yet. I said, no. He says, why not? So I said, well, I don't know too much about it. So he basically coached me through everything, gave me all his little hints and directions. I started building them, and he passed away. Well, no, excuse me, let me back up. Before he passed away, I put them on my builds, and a few well-known builders saw them and said, asked me, where am I getting them from? Because Dan isn't making them anymore. And I told him, I'm making them. He goes, really? How much you want to sell them for? I didn't feel comfortable selling them while Dan was still alive. To me, it just didn't seem right. And so I said, look, I'll trade you for them. I can't make money on them. So we started trading fretboards and miscellaneous stuff for it. When Dan passed, I said, well, might as well start, selling them. So I was selling them for what Dan was selling them for. And then about a year later, I had the fortune of working with Ben Giddy at a children's builders festival, a makers festival. And I brought one of my guitars with me. And he looked at it, started playing it, and said, wow, I really like this. And I got to talk to you about your pickups. So we got into a business discussion and came up with an agreement. And since that time, I've been selling them through CB Giddy, selling them privately. And it's been a good journey for me. And I got to meet a lot of well-known people, and did a couple interviews like this too. And never in my wildest dreams did I ever think building a little pickup for CBG would lead to this. Never.
Yeah, and that's incredible. You know, just like you said, I don't think most people realize because everybody's. I had Dar on here, and
Yes.
during our conversation, she's like, "I just wonder what's going through his mind, you know, when he makes these." And to have that backstory about somebody else doing this, and then you know, because you became good friends with the person, that you kind of took that on, and you turned it into something as big as it's turned out to be.
Yeah, it's just blew my mind the way it took off. Right now, last count, I'm well over 6,000 pickups.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
blowing my mind.
that's absolutely crazy. You know, and then you were building guitars for a while, and then you had to stop because of your arthritis.
Right, right. That happens when you get older.
Unfortunately, especially after breaking hands and stuff. Yeah, I definitely know that feeling.
Yeah,
Um,
I
so,
was in maintenance for 40 years and totally abused my hands big time.
so I mean, when you do wind these pickups, you know, let's say not the special kind, like you know, like the I've got them sitting on the my work table in there, and I stare at them every day for inspiration. Um, but let's say going into these, the wicked bucker for you know, CB Giddy, you do, or do you just make them this way, and then send them to Ben and the guys, and they build them into, you know, the full package with tone and volume knobs, or do you actually build them that way and then ship them to them?
I just make the pickups with the covers and bare wires coming out, lead wires, and send it to them because they'll sell wicked buckers by themselves and also wicked buckers hooked up to controls. And they do
Okay.
that one. I just sell straight pickups. I don't get, but I've been asked, you know, can I do that for people? I go, no. If
Okay.
you're into building cigar box guitars and want to start adding stuff like that, you have to know how to solder, not
Yeah.
rely on somebody else.
And that take up a lot of real estate for you, anyways. If you did the whole, you know, tone and volume with the, you know, with the wicked bucker. So there you go, folks. That question's answered. That he only builds these guys, and then the Giddy gang over there finishes them off.
Yes, yes. And about a year ago, um, well, maybe over a year ago, Ben asked if it would be okay if they wind what they call a giddy bucker. That would be basically a wicked bucker without a cover. And for a while, I was winding them, but I couldn't keep up with the demand doing it by myself. When they want 25, 30 a week sent out, week after week after week, I just said, I can't keep up with this and do wicked buckers at the same time. So Ben asked if I would make a winder like I have because he had watched me wind, and I said no problem. So he bought the winder, and I built the setup I have with the tensioner and everything else. Brought it down there to him, and taught his entire crew how to wind. So the giddy buckers you see are the ones that they wind. They're the ones without the covers. The
Okay.
ones with the covers are mine.
So the other question, I guess, to beat for other people, since people know you for these, is you aren't the one who's behind when Giddy did like the Giddy bomb and all that. You're not
Right,
behind that inspiration.
correct. He had a winder basically right downstairs from where the his shop is, and it was a professional winder's coil winder. He wound it for different medical machinery and stuff like that, and he had winding through there. But then when COVID hit, he started saying, "Well, this started getting, you know, it more expensive. The wire's gone up, and yada yada yada." And that's when Ben asked me if I would do it, if I would make a winder for him. And yes, the Giddy Bucker, the Giddy Bomb, and all that. That was all from Ben's ideas only, not mine.
Okay, perfect. I hope that answers other people's questions out there because I've seen a lot of stuff with Shane and all that, and you can see the similarities between what you do and that. So I'm pretty sure some other people were like, "Oh, well, Marty does it," and well, here you go, folks.
Yeah. I may have been the inspiration for it because he did copy mine,
Yeah,
but
yeah, because you can see the absolute similarities, and I think that's probably where a lot of people maybe in their minds go, "Oh, well, Marty's behind it." It's like, yeah.
yeah, I'm in the background someplace, but I'm not the guilty one who wound him.
So how many of these specialty pickups do you think that I wouldn't say in a year, but how many do you think you possibly do in maybe like a week or a month's time, pending?
It depends on the order. Now, come after, like, say September, it starts ramping up because people are giving them for the holidays, for craft shows and stuff like that. So I'll be getting an order like every 6 weeks, or maybe 40 or 50 pickups.
Okay.
But now I just got one order from Ben, and I haven't had one since around Memorial Day. And I just got the first one now. So during the summer, it slacks off. Vacations, people aren't building as much. They want to take a break. But
So
I try to keep ahead of it by winding maybe 10 to 20 a week, just to stay ahead of it. So when I get hit with an order for 50 or 60 pickups, I'm not going frantic and having to go crazy over here.
okay, so are you pretty much summertime you get to enjoy yourself, and then the wintertime, fall winter time kind of ramps up. You probably say.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I can't believe that you've wound that many pickups. I lose count probably after like getting to 100 to be like, okay, I'm not counting anymore.
Well, no, I'm not counting. I serial number each one.
Okay.
If you look at the back, well, the private ones, I don't put numbers on them, but for Ben, I put on a serial number on each back of each one. And I know he was up close to 5,000. And now I also know that I sold over 1,000 bear wicked buckers, which would be a giddy bucker. And then private sales, I have at least another 5 to 600 on top of that. So they said I'm well over 6,000 wines already.
Wow, that's incredible. How long would you say that one of these making not the tightly special wound ones, but just like the ones that go to Giddy, how long do you think just one of them takes you to make?
Uh, well, first, I don't make them one at a time all the way through. I'll
Okay.
wine maybe 10, 20, or 30 pickups with just bare magnetic wire hanging out.
Okay.
And then I take them down to the soldering bench and start soldering them up one by one, maybe like 10 at a clip. Once I get those done, then I'll start the covers. If you do one at a time, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour.
Okay. That's not that bad. So
No,
pretty much what you do is you kind of have like your own in your mind, and how you do it's like your own assembly line, so to speak.
oh, I have to. I have to.
Okay.
When I was working for Tyson Foods, I was in charge of lean maintenance and manufacturing, which you find these shortcuts and how to improve and streamline processes. And I just applied what I learned and taught there for years to what I was doing here. So you can't build one at a time and be proficient and efficient. So I mass produce one, move to the next step, to the next step. And I found it's a lot easier that way.
Okay. And then so I mean pretty much whether it's the ones for to be sold at CB Giddy or the specialty ones that are a little wound. I mean, it's pretty much the same
It's
steps, same process.
right. It's the same
Okay.
thing. The louder ones, I just put more wines onto them to give them a higher K value.
Okay. And that's probably what, well over 100 wines?
Especially one will have 3,000 on each side.
Okay.
So it's 6,000 wines altogether on one pickup.
Okay. Because, going through, I've always been like one of those, pickup nerds, whether it's like my tellies or everything. I'm always curious of like how many I mean, not that nobody tells you that, but in your brain you're like, I wonder how many wines that takes. Like I
Right.
know some like the quieter ones, you know, were like 120 or 150 wines, and then so I don't know. I guess I was always curious about these little guys.
Yeah. No, 100 wines. I mean, I don't know if you'd even hear it. I was starting to get some good results, probably around 1,000 wines. The ones I sell to Giddy, the standard ones, are I think 2,575 wines
Okay.
per slide. So double that, and
Yeah.
one pickup.
Yeah. This already. I remember it's actually coming up on the 1 year anniversary of good old Legs here, the washboard. And I remember when I built this thing, I took my amp, and it's a Orange Crush amp, and that one, because it's a British amp, you have to have the distortion already on, or otherwise it won't work even with the volume. And I just cranked it just like maybe what one, two, about 4 turns, and then I plugged this in, and all of a sudden I just went bang, and I thought I was gonna blow my ears out. I was taken back and so impressed of how these things just sound like an animal.
Yeah,
Like they're other dimension, otherworldly than any big name out there.
and a lot more affordable.
I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed by these. I honestly am.
The two things I like about them, I try to make them affordable for anyone, no matter what income bracket you are, and they're made in America by an American, not Chinese.
Yeah, yeah.
Like some other outfit will not be named gets them from China.
At least it's working, right? I don't know. Sorry, my wife was talking to me for a second. She's over outside the camera view.
Okay. And now the last CBG Madness event up here in Maine, they asked if I would bring my whole winding setup to the festival and demonstrate how I wind pickups. So I did, and I made an offer to the builders in the area. If you have a Chinese knockoff of a flat wickedbucker that is just crapped out on you, bring it down. I'll exchange it even. I'll give you an American-made one. 15 people brought them in for me. No problem. I exchanged one for one. I don't do it all the time, but I did it there.
And then I think the other question I would have is, your sheet choice. So this one's the bare steel, aluminum, and then you have the gold one, the copper one. Are
So
those just thin
those,
sheets? And of course,
right there, a few dollars more because, granted, brass and copper are more expensive than the aluminum sheeting I get. But I do offer them in that also, just as a variation.
yeah, just something that's different, so that it's not just the bare wood and your spun coil. So you got that
Right.
extra.
Bling.
Yeah, I was gonna say pizzazz, but then I was like, extra bling. But um, it's just it's amazing that you've kept this going, over somebody that became your friend, who did it before you, and then now, here you are, all this time later, and these things are still a big giant hit.
Yeah, no, I owe a lot to Dan Sleep. He was a good friend, and he taught me a lot. And I came across a couple of his original pickups and his business card a few months ago, and I made up a little plaque from Dan Sleep's originals, my interpretation of them, and what I made. Now, I don't know if you can see this here.
No, I can't. I'll have to later. It's still did the screen thing, but I'll check it
Yeah,
out later for sure.
right. Those are the original Dan Sleep flat pup that I've purchased from Dan. Well, actually, we exchanged them. At that time, I was winding just regular 3-pole, 4-pole Strat style. And that's when he asked if I would be winding his. So I did. And here we are now.
Wow, incredible. I mean, if there's one thing, like I ask everybody, if there's one thing from your product, since you're not building, so change the wording here. If there's one thing from your product that you build for people, what is something that you would hope that people would take away from what you build, what you sign, that goes on their instrument? What would you want people to take away from your product?
It was made by a former Starbucks guitar builder who, because of age, couldn't build anymore, but wanted to keep supporting the movement throughout the world, which they are. And I started producing the pickups for them, and they're made in America by an American and by a CBG builder, which not too many others can say that.
Yeah, incredible. And I guess the other last question before we wrap this up here in a few minutes is, now some people know you and some people know that this is you and not, but I've heard from a few people that you were once, when Ben Giddy did a show called The Giddy Gang, that you were on there a few different times.
Yeah.
We're talking when YouTube was first out, which is a very long time ago.
Yeah, really, really.
So you were on there quite a few times. I don't even know if that stuff's still on YouTube anymore. I haven't really checked for myself.
It is.
Now, were you on there? Were you on there playing too, or were you just talking about these awesome fine guys?
No, I don't believe I ever played there. I'm not too much of a guitar player, but it's funny. You know, I'll make them, but I really couldn't play them. I would make noise come out of them, and people say, "Oh, that's great." I looked at them like, "Oh, really? Okay, if you say so." And then when my hands started going, I just said, "That's it. You know, no more noise." But no, I was on there talking a lot and promoting the wickedbuckers for them. In fact, Shane Spiel, I happened to be there when Shane was there, and he did the promo for the wickedbucker and made a video of it, which I know is still on YouTube. And like I said, I was there then with Rusty. I can't think of his name now. That's what happens when you get old. A good builder I know came up to the house here. He's on a East Coast tour with his wife once he retired, and he went on the Giddy Gang show, and I drove him over there, and we were there with Green Heron and everything else. Had a grand old time. But yeah, I've been on there a few times, and I know the entire crew. I walk in there, it's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And it's funny, people I've never met before. Like, "Hey, how you doing, Marty? How you been?" Stuff like that. They ask, how life's going and stuff, all that. And the only time I ever knew them is when I walked in there.
Awesome. No, and that's what I love about doing these kind of videos with people is like, I live in Illinois. I don't really get to go out and travel, so like this is the best way to like get in touch with folks, face to face, and do this awesome thing that I created last year called Country Guitar Talk. I almost said my business name instead. My brain. But just doing this and connecting with people and just having an awesome time. I think it is anyways, but hey, it's just me.
No, anything that keeps the community connected and keeps the people involved, and let's see what other ones are doing, maybe inspire them and give them ideas. I promote all the time.
Yeah, very well said. And I think the last thing to ask you to knock it off the list is CB Giddy did come out with, but since you're saying that you got somebody else, but I still have to ask it. CB Giddy came out with one of these that are the bigger ones for 6 strings. So are you behind that, or is that just they?
That's mine.
That's yours. Okay.
Yeah, I make three, two, 3 and 4 stringers, and I make 6 stringers. I've made them all along. He just started winding his own 6 string giddy bucker, not a wicked
Okay.
bucker, a giddy bucker.
I just wanted to clear the air because every time I see something like that, I'm like, there's so much similarities with
Oh,
what you
yeah,
got going that I think that sometimes that's kind of lost in translation. That maybe somebody, if they know you, automatically thinks it's Marty, but then it might be, Ben and the guys creating off of what you started.
no, no,
Which there's
no.
nothing wrong with that.
In fact, Ben was when he asked me if I would mind that they wind the giddy buckers. We came to a nice agreement on a few shekels for each that he sells, I get.
Okay,
So,
that's
you know,
fair.
it's fair, and he's been very good about it and very honest. So I have no qualms about him doing it. I'm not going to be around forever, so if somebody has to pick it up, might as well be him. He has the winder I built for him and designed. I taught him the right way and they videoed it, so they have me saying exactly how I do it. So, like I said, we came to a mutual agreement, and I can't complain about it.
Okay. No, I mean, I've always wanted to, ask him, and I know a few of the other guys. I won't drop their names in here, but I've asked them to like come on here, and they're like, no, we'll decline. So it's like you're the only closest thing I had to asking those questions, because I do see the similarities, and I do see, your style interpreted in it. So I can't ask them, so I got to ask somebody that knows.
Yeah, yeah, no, I make no bones about it, and I know in a few posts have been putting that wound right here in Gonic Mills in New Hampshire, and I have no qualms about it. He has my full blessing. Please do it because I can't keep up with the demand, and there's one less thing off my plate, so I wouldn't complain at all.
Well, no, that's perfect to know because I guess there would be those other people, let's say that have known you for a very long time, and who don't know the story between you and how you're tied with CB Giddy and Ben, where somebody might be like, oh, well, they're just copying what he started.
No,
So there you go, folks. It's not like that at all.
no, not at all. Ben and I are really good friends. I mean, we have him a messenger. I'll message him about every little thing. And so it's like, no big deal. We're good friends, and he has my full blessing. So get that rumor out of the way.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I wanted to put that to bed in case of, because sometimes I do see stuff on some guitar forums, well, CBG forums, not regular guitar forums, but sometimes people say some stuff, and you're like, you kind of just want to get. I'm the type of person that wants to get the truth, wants to get out there, and just be like, okay, let's put these myths to bed and to rest, and here's the truth for
So,
you guys.
exactly. You get it from the old man's mouth right here.
Yeah, because I absolutely, between you and Ben's been going through a lot of things. So Ben, if you do
Yeah.
watch this, your buddy, I love you. I know you've been going through some hardships with personal things. I love you. I love CB Giddy. I've always used CB Giddy, and all you guys together. Uh, it's incredible. I can never say enough good things, and I will never say bad things about
Yeah.
anything. So
Yeah.
it's cool to get you on here. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, and I know that Adar and everybody, you guys watch this later on. I know that you'll be pretty hyped up that Marty's on here, and you know
Oh,
talking about these fine, incredible things.
Star's really good. When I first heard her play, I think I saw it first on the Giddy Gang show of all places, and I got her phone number and called her up and said, you're building. Would you mind if I send you a few pickups? At that point, I was still promoting, pickups that I built. And she said, sure. So I got her address and everything. I sent it to her, and I've been sending her pickups on a regular basis now for her guitars to support her and her festival that she's putting on down in Maryland. So no, I've supported her since she started, and she's really good. Out of the blue, I'll get some of the bling, T-shirts and stickers and EDs and stuff like that. So no, she's a great performer and a great person. I really like her.
Yeah, when she came on, she had one of her latest guitars that she built,
Mhm.
and strummed it just to let everybody hear it, and showed this wonderful fine piece. And I mean, guys, for some of you guys, if you build CBGs out there, which I hope everybody who views, except for I know a few people are my automotive buddies, but if you do build, guys, please get a hold of Marty or go to CBGitty. Get one of these. They will change your tone. They will change your life. And believe me, you're not going to be disappointed. If you have feelings, they will rattle loose. I will give that. I will take that one to the bank. They will rattle your feelings loose.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
But no, Marty, I appreciate you hopping on here and able to tell your story, talk about these fine pieces of instrumental art because they are art.
Thank you.
they
Thank you.
do they do set the tone, whether it's a washboard or whether it's a regular um, you know box. I've got a few ideas floating around, guys. I guess what you're gonna see Marty's stuff on that he built me is a hubcap. I'm still trying to find the right one, and then a brickhouse box. That's what you're gonna see these next latest two on. And they just speak for themselves. So, guys, you got to thank Marty and his beloved friend who's passed away for these wonderful fine pieces of instrumental madness. I guess that's how you say it. I don't know. It makes sense to me, anyways.
I don't know, but no, I, I'm just happy, people buying them and the building and, keeping the folklore of cigar box guitars alive. And I'm just happy about that. I'm supporting them where I can.
Absolutely. Well, Marty, thank you for being a part of Country Guitar Talk today. And, um, I know we'll talk beyond this, but just you and your family have a good one. And once again, thank you for coming on and being a guest for episode 2, season 2.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Marty.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.